Picture this. It's 2026, you're scrolling used listings, and every great deal has the same tiny horror story hidden in the fine print. Mystery hybrid warning lights, expensive drivetrain quirks, a battery that's fine probably, and an owner who swears the dealer said it's normal. So today, we're doing the opposite of hype. We're doing survival. I'm going to give you 4 hybrid SUVs that are genuinely built around the idea of lasting a long time with low drama, and 3 that I would personally avoid if your goal is drive forever, because their official engineering choices lean hard toward complexity, cost, and aging risk. And quick note, worse doesn't mean bad cars. It means bad matches for the specific mission of ultra-long ownership, minimal surprises, and maximum mechanical peace. Before we start, here's the core idea that decides whether a hybrid SUV ages like a legend or like a group chat argument. Complexity plus heat plus packaging. Hybrids are amazing, but every extra clutch pack, turbo, high-voltage coolant loop, multi-speed gearbox, or tightly packaged exhaust after-treatment system is one more thing that has to stay happy for 15 years. For drive forever, I want a powertrain that is mechanically calm, thermally stable, and designed to tolerate real life. Cold starts, short trips, full-load motorway runs, steep alpine climbs, and stop-and-go city nonsense without constantly operating at the edge of its own stress limits. That's the lens. All right, let's start with the best 4. First best pick, Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. If your goal is a hybrid SUV that can do 2026 Europe, urban low-emission zones, long Autobahn stints, rain, snow, and the occasional, oops, we bought a wardrobe, the RAV4 Hybrid is basically the default answer for one reason. Toyota's hybrid architecture is obsessed with reducing mechanical wear points. At its heart is a planetary gear set that acts like an electronic, continuously variable transmission, but without the belt and pulley drama people imagine when they hear CVT. There's no traditional clutch pack constantly slipping to find a ratio, and there's no conventional starter motor grinding the engine to life. The engine is started by an electric machine smoothly, repeatedly, as many times as it needs to, for the entire life of the car. In city driving, that matters. A lot. Technically, what you're getting is a 2.5-liter hybrid setup designed around efficiency and controlled load, paired with electric assistance that fills torque gaps. The magic longevity trick is that the engine can spend more time operating in its efficient window instead of being forced to lug at low RPM or scream at high RPM to compensate for gearing. Less lugging equals less heat stress. Less heat stress equals fewer long-term problems. And on the all-wheel drive versions, Toyota's approach is beautifully simple. You can get AWD using an electric motor at the rear axle rather than a complex mechanical transfer case and propshaft setup. That means fewer rotating parts, fewer seals, fewer joints, fewer opportunities for vibrations and leaks as the kilometers stack up. It's not hardcore off-road all-wheel drive, but it's extremely sensible all-weather traction with a simpler physical layout. Now let's talk about what drive forever actually feels like day to day. The RAV4 Hybrid's braking system is tuned around regeneration first, friction second. That can mean brake pads and discs live longer because the electric motor is doing a lot of the slowing. And in Europe, where traffic patterns are basically accelerate, brake, repeat, but make it scenic, that adds up. The battery in a full hybrid like this is not designed to be drained to zero and recharged to full like a plug-in. It lives in a buffered state of charge. That buffer is the secret sauce for longevity. The system avoids the extreme top and bottom ends of the battery's capacity because those are the stressful zones. In simple terms, it's like keeping your battery in its comfort zone most of the time. If you want the forever version, my practical advice is to choose the wheel and tire setup that doesn't punish the suspension, keep the cooling system serviced on schedule, and don't ignore software updates that improve hybrid control logic. The RAV4 is not the flashiest pick, but if you want to be that person in 2038 casually saying, yeah, it just goes, this is the vibe. Second best pick, Lexus NX 350h. Think of this as the Toyota hybrid philosophy, but with the premium bits turned up. And for long-term ownership, premium can actually help if it's the right kind of premium. The NX 350h uses a 2.5-liter hybrid system in the same family of tech, with a strong emphasis on smooth power delivery and controlled operation. In some ADAS versions, you're again looking at an electric rear motor approach, which keeps things mechanically tidy. The reason the NX makes this list isn't just luxury, it's the way the system is designed to feel unstressed. Here's a technical point most people miss. Hybrids that are tuned for effortless, low RPM torque in daily driving often keep the engine away from harsh operating zones. When an SUV feels like it has enough without trying, it's usually because the powertrain isn't constantly hunting, downshifting, spooling, or dumping heat to keep up. The NX's hybrid system is built around that calm competence, and Lexus tends to focus heavily on refinement, noise, vibration, harshness control. For you, the long-term owner, that matters because vibrations and harshness aren't just comfort issues. They can be early warning signs of mounts aging, bushings wearing, driveline imbalance, and so on. A platform engineered to be smooth from day one often stays quiet about its problems longer because it's not generating unnecessary mechanical stress in the first place. Also, the NX's hybrid setup avoids a high-strung, small turbo engine strategy. For drive forever, I generally prefer a larger displacement engine operating at lower average stress, assisted by electric torque, rather than a tiny turbo engine constantly asked to do hero work. That doesn't mean small turbo engines are doomed. It means your margin for error is smaller. With the NX 350h, your margin is bigger. If you're the kind of owner who will actually keep a car well past the finance cycle age, this is the hybrid SUV that lets you do it while still feeling like you're driving something special. It's not cheap, but longevity is often an upfront purchase. Third best pick, Honda CR-V EHEV, the full hybrid. Honda's modern hybrid strategy is one of the most interesting in Europe because it behaves like an electric car most of the time, with the petrol engine acting as a generator under many conditions and then coupling in more directly when it's efficient to do so. From a drive forever perspective, what I like here is that the system can reduce how often the engine has to do awkward, inefficient work. Stop-and-go city traffic is brutal on conventional drivetrains because you're constantly shifting, slipping clutches, and running the engine in low-efficiency, high-vibration conditions. Honda's hybrid approach leans into electric drive feel where it makes sense, smoothing out those harsh transitions. On paper, you're dealing with a 2.0-liter hybrid engine setup and an eCVT-style driving experience. Again, the key for longevity is fewer traditional shift events and reduced reliance on friction elements to manage torque. When you eliminate or reduce repeated gear changes, you reduce a whole category of wear. You also reduce the heat spikes that happen when a conventional drivetrain repeatedly loads and unloads. The CR-V also has a practical advantage that matters in Europe. It's built to do family SUV work without constantly operating at maximum load. That means stable temperatures on long runs, and stable temperatures are everything. Hybrids have multiple cooling needs: engine coolant, power electronics cooling, sometimes separate battery thermal management strategies depending on design. A car that's packaged sensibly and not pushed to its limit in normal use will simply have an easier life. The CR-V is that kind of car. If you want to own a hybrid SUV for a decade plus, the CR-V is a quietly clever pick. Not flashy, just engineered with a lot of thought about how people actually drive. Fourth best pick, Kia Sportage Hybrid. And yes, this is the one that surprises people who assume only the Japanese brands can do long-term hybrid ownership. The Sportage Hybrid earns its place with a very practical formula: a mainstream hybrid system with a small hybrid battery designed for frequent charge-discharge cycling, combined with a warranty approach in Europe that's unusually confident. Kia's official 7-year coverage in many European markets is not just a marketing bullet, it's a signal about how they're willing to stand behind the car's ownership timeline. Technically, the Sportage Hybrid uses a petrol engine paired with an electric motor and a compact battery. That compact battery isn't there to give you a huge EV range. It's there to support the engine, capture energy during braking, and smooth out load changes. In longevity terms, smoothing load changes is huge because it reduces the engine's stress spikes and can reduce how often the transmission has to make aggressive decisions. The whole point is to make driving feel effortless while keeping components in a more stable operating band. Now let's talk about why this matters specifically for Europe in 2026. You've got a mixed driving environment. Cold mornings, short urban runs, then suddenly a motorway blast at 130, then back to roundabouts and speed cameras. A hybrid that can adapt quickly. Electric torque for initial movement, engine for sustained speed, regen to claw back energy, will spend less time in inefficiency and less time in rage mode. The Sportage Hybrid is built for that mixed reality. My drive forever tips for this one are very straightforward. Don't cheap out on tires. Keep the 12-volt battery healthy, because modern hybrids are extremely sensitive to low-voltage electrical stability and service on time. If you do that, the Sportage Hybrid can be a long-haul companion that costs you less stress than you'd expect. So that's the best four: Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, Lexus NX 350h, Honda CR-V eHEV, and Kia Sportage Hybrid. Now let's flip the coin. Here are the 3 worst hybrid SUV picks to drive forever in 2026 Europe. Not because they're terrible vehicles, but because their official design priorities create more long-term risk, more expensive aging points, and less mechanical simplicity. If your goal is decade-plus ownership with minimal surprises, these are the ones where I'd be cautious. First worst pick for drive forever: Range Rover Evoque plug-in hybrid. Let me be very clear. The Evoque is a vibe. It looks amazing, it feels premium, and as a plug-in hybrid, it can do proper electric commuting when you actually charge it. But drive forever is about what happens when the car is old, used, out of warranty, and you still want it to behave like a grown-up. Plug-in hybrids are inherently more complex than full hybrids because they carry a larger high-voltage battery, higher power charging hardware, and often more complicated thermal management. The Evoque PHEV adds premium SUV packaging constraints on top of that. Tighter spaces, more electronics, more comfort features, more sensors, more stuff that has to stay happy. Officially, you're dealing with a plug-in battery in the mid-teens of kilowatt-hours range, depending on version and rating. And that's big enough to make thermal management and charging behavior matter a lot over time. If you baby the battery, charge intelligently, and keep cooling systems healthy, a PHEV can age well. But if your real life is, sometimes I charge, sometimes I don't, sometimes it sits, sometimes it fast charges, the long-term variables multiply. And that's the key. More variables, more outcomes you don't control. Also, premium compact SUVs like this often run on larger wheels and low-profile tires because it looks fantastic in the brochure. For longevity, those setups are harder on suspension joints, bushings, and wheel bearings, especially on Europe's pothole roulette. Combine that with the complexity of a PHEV system, and you've got a car that can be brilliant but isn't the easiest candidate for forever. Second worst pick for drive forever: Jeep Compass 4SE plug-in hybrid. Again, this is not a hate list. The Compass 4SE is genuinely cool because it gives you electrified all-wheel drive and that Jeep character. Officially, you're looking at an 11.4 kilowatt-hour class battery system, and you can drive short distances on electric power when charged. But here's why it lands on the avoid for forever side. The architecture is a complexity stack. You've got a petrol engine, an electric motor, a battery, charging hardware, and a drivetrain strategy that blends combustion and electric torque depending on mode and traction demands. That's a lot of coordination. And coordination is great when everything is new, sensors are perfect, and software is fresh. As cars age, electrical connectors, sensors, and actuators don't get better. They get older. Add to that the Compass 4xe is meant to be used in more diverse conditions. People buy Jeeps to do Jeep things. That can mean mud, water, more vibration, more grime, more temperature cycling. A complex plug-in hybrid system living in a life of harsh use is a different ownership proposition than a simple full hybrid doing predictable commuting. If you're the kind of owner who keeps everything meticulously maintained and you love the car, you can absolutely make it work. But if you want the highest probability, I never think about it hybrid, the Compass 4IE is not that. Third worst pick for drive forever: BMW X5 plug-in hybrid. And this is the perfect example of how amazing car and forever car are not the same thing. Officially, the X5 plug-in hybrid is a powerhouse. Big performance, big comfort, proper long-distance ability, and a meaningful electric range when you charge it. But for long-term ownership, it's a triple threat of aging complexity: high output, heavy mass, and a premium feature set. Here's the technical reality. A large, heavy SUV places more load on tires, brakes, suspension components, and driveline parts, even before we talk about the hybrid system. Then you add a turbocharged engine, a high-voltage battery with charging hardware, sophisticated cooling requirements, and a premium electronics ecosystem that includes everything from advanced driver assistance to complex infotainment and comfort systems. None of that is bad. It's just a lot of systems to keep in perfect harmony for a very long time. If you plan to own an X5 plug-in hybrid through the warranty period and then move on, it can be fantastic. If your plan is to keep it indefinitely and you want low surprises and low running risk, the probability curve is simply not as friendly as it is with simpler hybrid SUVs. The cost of one thing going wrong is also higher. That's the whole point of this list. Now, if you're thinking, okay, so should I avoid all plug-in hybrids? No, plug-in hybrids can be brilliant, especially in Europe, if your lifestyle matches them. If you charge consistently, if you do lots of short trips, and if you're disciplined about maintenance, PHEVs can reduce fuel use and feel amazing. The reason they struggle in a Drive Forever ranking is that they carry extra hardware and extra operating modes, and over a long enough timeline, extra hardware usually means extra opportunities for expensive problems. Full hybrids tend to be more forgiving because their batteries are smaller, their operating strategy is more buffered, and they're designed for constant cycling as the default. So let's land this with a simple checklist you can use on any hybrid SUV you're considering in 2026 Europe. 1. Ask yourself, is this a full hybrid designed to cycle all day, or a plug-in hybrid designed to be charged? If it's a plug-in and you won't charge it consistently, you're carrying battery mass and charging hardware for no benefit, and you're asking the engine to do more work in a heavier car. That's not a longevity advantage. 2. Look for simplicity in how ADAD is achieved. Electric rear-axle ADAD can reduce mechanical complexity compared with traditional systems. It won't always be superior in extreme conditions, but for the everyday European reality, wet roads, snow days, mountain trips, it's a smart longevity play. 3. Think about thermal stability. Bigger engines working gently with electric assistance often age better than small engines working hard in a heavy SUV. You want an engine that rarely feels like it's fighting physics. 4. Don't ignore warranty philosophy. A long, official warranty in Europe doesn't guarantee immortality, but it's a meaningful signal about the manufacturer's confidence and the ownership timeline they're designing for. And finally, the forever rule that people hate because it's boring. Service it on time with the correct fluids, and don't treat warning lights like decorative Christmas ornaments. Hybrids are incredibly durable when cared for, and incredibly petty when neglected. So if you want my quick buy and relax shortlist for 2026 Europe, Toyota RAV4 Hybrid for the no-drama long haul, Lexus NX 350h for the premium version of that philosophy, Honda CR-V eHEV for the clever electric-like hybrid approach, and Kia Sportage Hybrid for the value plus warranty long-term play. And if your goal is strictly drive forever with minimal complexity, I'd think twice before committing to the Range Rover Evoque PHEV, Jeep Compass 4xe, or a big premium plug-in like the BMW X5 PHEV, because long-term, you're not just owning a car, you're owning a system of systems. If you want, in the next video we can do the same format for the best and worst hybrid estates and liftbacks in Europe, because honestly, some of the longest living hybrids aren't SUVs at all. But that's a spicy conversation for another day.